Before we jump into the the big news for today, I just want to say that I wish nothing but a full recovery, and I hope that Dante Martin is okay. I watched the injury from last night, and I'm just gonna say that if you're squeamish and can't hit and don't uh normally look at stuff like that, then it is not for you because it is a freaking nasty injury. 100% it is a nasty injury. It was a dangerous spot, and it was, just there's nothing more to say about it. And I hope nothing but the best for Dante Martin. He's an extremely talented person. He's an extremely talented in-ring performer. You could tell that, Dante knew that something wasn't right as he landed. But if you see how he landed, you could see why he knew something wasn't right. And I mean, like I said, if you're squeamish or can't handle certain things, then it might not be for you. But the fact of the matter is, it is a gnarly injury, and I hope nothing but the best for Dante after what I saw from that spot last night. But now, with that being said, we move to the big picture, and the big picture is on WrestleMania 39, because tonight is night one for WrestleMania. It is the Super Bowl of Wrestling, the showcase of the Immortals, and we are ready for night one of the event tonight with it still being unclear to my knowledge who will be in the main event of tonight's WrestleMania, but we do know that John Cena versus Austin Theory will be the opening contest. And I just want to say that as we got with NXT Stand and Deliver, which we will talk about NXT Stand and Deliver another day, but with NXT Stand and Deliver already underway, and we got the preview for NXT Stand and Deliver, I have not seen anything having to do with the card for WrestleMania tonight or tomorrow, and the preview for tonight's event will be the first time that I see anything of that ilk or variety. So I am looking forward to it. But if we look back to last night, the final edition of SmackDown before WrestleMania, we saw the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and Bobby Lashley become the next winner of the historic Battle Royal, with Lashley eliminating Bronson Reed, who had a solid showing in the match, by the way, and also made himself the least popular person in the ring when he eliminated L.A. Knight. Yeah. But now Bobby Lashley took to Twitter, and Bobby issued an open challenge to anyone and everyone in WWE or outside of WWE. He is free Saturday and Sunday, and he wants to not be free on Saturday and Sunday. He wants something to do. He wants somebody to fight, because as he said, you can't have WrestleMania without the Almighty. So Bobby Lashley will be. It is very likely that Bobby Lashley will be in action during WrestleMania weekend at some point, with someone accepting his open challenge. I mean, there was part of me that thought that maybe Lashley would join up with the Hurt Business and take down Brock Lesnar, but I would say that there is more of a likelihood now that Lashley will do his own thing at WrestleMania than pair up with the Hurt Business, just because that just seems like the direction they're going. I mean, for lack of a better word, that just seems like the direction they're going. According to Bruce Pritchard, who was on a recent podcast, or did a recent podcast appearance, which is actually something that I don't normally hear because, I mean, I honestly don't remember the last time I heard Bruce Pritchard do a podcast appearance. But Bruce Pritchard was on a podcast recently and spoke about the creative process with WWE, saying that WWE had plans set for WrestleMania in place as of last summer. And it was basically, how do we get there? It was basically, how do we get there from from summer last year, which basically, I think, if you think about it, Triple H took control of WWE in July of last year. Triple H took control of WWE in July of last year, with SummerSlam being his first pay-per-view. Which means it is very likely that soon after Triple H took control of WWE, he set plans for WrestleMania, according to Bruce Pritchard. Which is, in my opinion, amazing to hear and very, very good to hear, because I've been one advocate for long-term booking in any sense of the imagination. In every sense of the imagination, I've been an advocate for long-term booking. And basically, I think, I think anybody that doesn't see the importance that is in the wrestling business of long-term booking and long-term storytelling is not a good booker, and should look at it from the standpoint of fan investment and just fan investment and fan involvement. That long-term booking is the best way to keep your fans invested, because it allows the fans to know that the person that they're investing in is somebody that's not going to go anywhere, is somebody that they can invest in for the long term, and that they will be able to see get to a certain point, and that their investment will pay off from that standpoint. Booking from week to week, or booking from, hot-shotting or whatever it is, it's not the best way to go about things, because because you're basically saying your investment, fan involvement doesn't matter. And I know somebody might say, "Oh, how am I saying that?" Well, you're saying that because if you're not allowing the fans to get invested into the product that you're putting out, then you're not allowing. Then you think fan involvement does not matter, which I completely disagree with. Fan involvement is one of the few things that I think everyone that is in the wrestling business should agree with, that the fans do matter, and that long-term booking does count for something, but it shouldn't be. I mean, I don't want to say it shouldn't be the only thing, or it should be the only thing that matters, but it's one of the it's one of the big things that could help bring your product from, square one to square two. Or as they say, you can't force a square peg in a round hole. And I mean, the easiest way to phrase that around, or put that around, is you should long-term book, because it works. Long-term storytelling works. Simple as that. There's nothing else I can say about it other than long-term storytelling works. But I will throw this out there before we move on, and that is that Cody Rhodes, the initial plans for Cody Rhodes, we've heard a lot of rumors. But one of the thrown about rumors that I had not heard until today was that there was a rumor that Cody Rhodes was set to get in the ring with WWE's franchise, John Cena. I thought the original plan was Cody versus Seth or Drew, and Cena versus Logan Paul, but apparently Cena versus Cody was talked about. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that WWE should, or AEW should, or Ring of Honor, or New Japan that they should have a card, that New Japan should know now what they're doing at Wrestle Kingdom, like the entire card. That's not what I'm saying. That's not long-term booking. Long-term booking is having an idea with, 3 or 4 talent where you want them to go over the course of a year, let's say, and piecing together the card with them as the groundwork or the foundation, and then piecing together the rest of the card as the card gets closer, because every match doesn't need a year build or a year behind it as far as story development, because the more hype you have from every match, the less the main matches will get hype. Because people will be too excited about other matches that they won't be as excited as they should be about the headliners. That's why you don't give every match the same amount of hype. You give certain matches a little bit more hype than other matches to separate them, to give the fans the knowledge of these are the important matches. Like Cody and Roman is more hyped up than Gunther versus... Well, actually, Gunther versus Drew. That's a bad example. Theory versus Cena. That match is not sold on the hype. That match is sold on John Cena. But, again, we got more news to get to before the preview of WrestleMania Night 1. So, let's get to it. I'm just saying, I will always be an advocate for long-term booking. And I'm glad to see that WWE is going that way and back to how they used to be. But either way, let's get to the next news video, and I will see you then.